too far ahead.
Maybe we should just let them wrap it up on their own.
We have to see this through.
We still haven't found Tails. We've been wrangling children and taking detours the whole way.
Are you telling me you would leave behind someone in need?
No, but I'm also worried about you. You can't help anyone if you're stuck in limbo.
All right. Then hurry up and save me too, so we can find Tails.
Sounds simple enough.
Well, it's been a long time, hasn't it, Yoroichi?
You assumed it was a man, but I never told you.
What's this?
Ask of you, Kukaku.
That is usually the case when you look me up, Yoroichi. Is it dangerous? It's been a long time since we talked like this. Well, well, my friend. Lucky for you, I enjoy danger. I think I get the picture. What the hell? I'll take the job. So I'm going to send an overseer with you, just to keep an eye on them for me. Well, I call him that, but he's a...
Yes, sis, I'm ready.
All right, I'm opening the door, so behave yourself.
Okay, I promise.
You two already know each other?
Before we get started, I just wanted to allow my guests the opportunity to introduce themselves, basically tell everybody who you are and what you do, and then also tell us your top 2 favorite female characters and why.
Oh, hi. Well, hi, I'm Cindy Robinson. I'm a voice actor and voice director living in Los Angeles. And my top 2 would have to be, well, first of all, Amy Rose from Sonic the Hedgehog. That's my girl. I've been doing her for 15 years. And I love Amy. I love how they've let her grow. I love how they've let her kind of become more modern. So that I'm really proud of, because there was I feel like I was in the room when a lot of that happened. So that's one of my favorite characters. And then probably are we talking about my female characters?
No, just overall.
In general.
In general.
Oh goodness, that's a ginormous question. Well, I think maybe we got to go with Betty Boop on this one too.
Okay.
Betty is iconic.
Classic.
One of my favorite things is that somebody told me when I was working on her stuff, Betty Boop is the only character that appeals to 5-year-olds and truckers. So
that is very interesting, but I could kind of see that, that's very interesting.
There you go. So I like her range too. I mean, I guess that's something that those 2 characters have in common, is that they've both grown over the years.
Okay, since you brought those 2 up, I just want to take a little blast of the past, because you actually voiced both those characters.
I did voice both those characters.
How did you get the opportunity to get Betty Boop? How did that come about?
Okay, that's kind of an interesting story. So I met this lawyer, right? I was in a day job, and he came in and he introduced himself to me, and he was a chatty guy, and I was chatty back because that's what I do. And he said, "You sound like Olive Oil." And did you know that Olive Oil is the same voice actor as Betty Boop? And right now I'm blanking on the name. Oh, Mae Questel. You sound like Mae Questel, who played Olive Oil and Betty Boop. And I'm like, I want to be loved by you, just you, and nobody else but you. And he goes, oh, are you going to be in New York anytime soon? And I was not. I was poor as a church mouse at that point, just scraping nickels together to pay the rent. And I said, yes. Because I had a dance teacher in college who said, if anybody asks you if you can do anything, you just say yes, and then you go learn how to do it. So I'm like, I am just going to figure out how to get to New York. So I did. I scraped, the money together. I bought the cheapest ticket I could find, and they sent me to King Features in New York. And I walked in and I met a guy named Frank. And Frank said, "So I hear you do Betty." And he said, "Give me a little Betty." And I did. And he said, "Do you sing?" And I did the "I Want to Be Loved by You" song. And he went, "Really? Okay." So they actually paid me to do this huge demo for them. And then they booked me, and I did all of the slot machines for Bally's, all of the Betty Boop slot machines. I did all of those. I did several games. They didn't know what they wanted to do with her.
Okay.
And there are two of us that have done Betty recently. The other one is Sandy Fox, who does a terrific Betty Boop. She's great. But hers is a cutesier one, and mine is the more kind of sexier one. Is the way that they described it to me. So depending on the project, and if it was a little sassier, or depending on where it needed to go, I'm probably not like the one that would welcome you to Betty Boop World or anything, but I was the one that would sit in a casino and do kind of a video game because Betty was a little racy when they started.
Yeah, she's a little interesting character.
She was a flapper and all of this stuff, and in the 20s, and they were a little racier than we were. So there was room for both of us in that world to both voice Betty. But yeah, it was a wonderful experience, and I haven't done her in a few years, but it was a great way to get the job. One of those that's like kind of storybook, like you hear about it so many times, things like that don't work out, and then you're left with, a really expensive plane ticket and sleeping on somebody's floor, because in New York, they were already sleeping on their own couch. So.
For sure. I know that would have been horrible to scrape all the money you had left to go out there and fail, and then
and book nothing.
But you got to take those chances, because if you don't take those chances, it's like, how do you know if you're ever going to get it? You know what I mean?
You can't, if you don't play, you can't win. Isn't that what the lottery slogan used to be?
Man, but it's crazy. So did you ever get to meet the original voice actress?
She passed away a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why they were looking for somebody new. I think the last time Mae Questel did Betty's voice was like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, maybe? I could be wrong on that detail. But I think so. And yeah, so she's been gone for a long time.
So was that a voice you knew beforehand that you could do, or is that just something you were like, when you were just talking to him, you were like, oh, yeah, I can do a Betty Boop?
Yeah, you know what? I could do this song, and I don't know why because I never set out to be a voice actor. I was a Broadway girl.
So was it your first role? Like
no,
Oh, okay.
my first role was GTO, and I am awful in the pilot. Y'all, if you want to hear something funny, go listen to the first episode of GTO.
That's one of my favorite shows. Great Teacher Onizuka.
Yeah.
It's
Steve
amazing.
Bloom and Kirk Thornton, and I think Keith Silverstein's in there somewhere. And yeah, that was my very first gig, and that happened same place that I was working. I met a script adapter, and he said, "I'm adapting the script. I can't get you the job, but I can get you an audition." And I had never done voiceover before. I'd only done Broadway stuff at that point. And so I was a stage actress. So that means that there was a lot of enunciation and a lot of over pronunciation. Oh my goodness. And I know. Anyway, so if you go and listen to that, it's hysterical. But the girl that was the woman that was directing it was her first directing gig. And it was my first voiceover gig. And she said, "I know what it's like. I'm going to take a risk on you." And the only thing that they had seen was the very first episode. And as you know, in anime, so many times, the first episode, you think, oh, this is the lead role. Yeah, this is the lead role. And I think she, I don't know, spoiler, dies in the second episode or something. Anyway, she never comes back.
Oh, yeah.
But then me as the mother in that. And so they kept me But the trajectory of where I started begins right there, and you can just hear it. Whew.
It's funny you say that because when I was looking at it, it looked like you played like 6 or 7 people, different characters in that show.
I did. That's what we did in anime, or what we do in anime. They bring you in and you play multiple roles.
Okay.
Sexy Jutsu in Naruto. There are 5 of us credited with being the voice of Sexy Jutsu.
Oh, okay. The girl that comes out. Okay.
Yeah. And because she didn't have that many, and if your character wasn't in that batch, they usually record anime in batches. So there are 5 episodes at a time. And if your character isn't in that batch, but Sexy Jutsu comes in, I mean, she may only have 20 lines in the whole series. I don't think she has a lot.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, can you voice match this? Can you do this thing? Because there you go. So there are 5 of us that are credited with voicing Sexy Jutsu.
Oh, do you remember which version or which part of the show? Okay. Because I seen that you were part of Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, so you had a chance to voice it in either part of the show.
Yeah.
But before we kind of get more in depth into our interview, I just kind of want to knock out who my 2 favorite female characters are.
Oh, good. I want to hear.
For my first one, I had to choose Tsunade from Naruto. I think she is one of my favorite female characters, mainly because I feel like when you look at her job as Hokage, because she's the only person we actually got to see her actual whole Hokage journey. She had to deal with a whole lot of stuff, and she actually took care of it, and she dealt with it in a very strong and caring way. So I have to give Tsunade her props.
Right on.
And for my second one, I had to go with Bulma Briefs from Dragon Ball Z.
I have not seen Dragon Ball Z, so tell me about her.
Oh, you definitely got to check it out. Well, she is the second main character of Dragon Ball. I think a lot of people don't realize, but when Dragon Ball started, it started with Goku and Bulma. They were on their journey to go get some Dragon Balls, and she was the main science and the brains behind the whole thing. She came up with the radar that finds the Dragon Balls. She's instrumental in every arc. She comes up with something that helps them in the arc to finish the arc. So she is always one of my favorite characters.
Cool. I will have to check that out.
You definitely have to check that out. Before we kind of get into our interview, I just kind of want to ask you, what have you recently been watching or listening to that you would kind of want to recommend? This can be movie-wise,
well, first of all, I mean, I watch a lot of long-form television, live action. So Shrinking is my favorite show on television right now.
Okay.
It's fantastic. It's on Apple TV. I'm Harrison Ford's in it. I mean, and it's Harrison Ford doing comedy. People don't really realize how hysterical that man is. So love Shrinking. And the other thing, I listen a lot. I listen to a lot of audiobooks and podcasts and things like that. And I'm really into spies right now, CIA spies.
Oh.
So there's a guy named Andrew Bustamante that has a book out called Shadow Cell. He's an ex-CIA spy. And then a man named John Kiriakou, who was also a CIA spy. And he was the one who went to prison for being the whistleblower on the torturing of prisoners by CIA. So really, I like interesting stuff like that. And it's got a lot of history to it. And it's just kind of fascinating to me.
Wow, that's definitely sound interesting. I gotta check out both of those shows.
Yeah.
So
and they've got podcasts too. So
crazy thing about me recently, I've been literally on like a scary movie kind of binge. I've been watching a lot of Screams, and I've been watching a lot of The Conjuring, rewatching the Conjuring movies, but mainly the Screams because I've been getting back into that slasher kind of feel and stuff like that. And then I heard there might be another one coming soon, but for some reason someone told me February, but I'm like, I don't know. I didn't.
We're seeing the billboards.
Are you seeing?
Yeah, there's a new Scream 7, I think.
Oh, really? Is it coming out in February?
I didn't check because I don't do scary movies, and especially don't do horror slasher stuff. The world is scary enough.
I can understand that. I think my mind when I'm watching a scary movie, I can imagine this just being fictional. This is not real.
Yeah.
Because I know that the horrors in the real world is
Yeah.
10 times worse than this. You know what I mean? Like, ooh.
Which is interesting because I'm sitting here listening to a bunch of CIA stuff, which is also
about the same thing.
Holy crap.
Like, woo. That's what I used to tell people. I was like, sometimes watching a scary movie is not as bad as listening to like Law and Order when they're describing what's happening to some of those people. I'm like, that right there would be way more uncomfortable to me than watching a slasher. Because
I mean, it's well documented that women love to watch true crime, and it's true crime, not just not Scream or something like that. But oh man, I hate jump scares. I hate them. And I used to do a lot of looping in the biz, and I had a hell of a scream. So I am featured screaming in Rob Zombie's Halloween and all of this stuff. So I used to, like, literally, if it was too scary, they would play it and I would watch like this and do it just so I could get the timing. But I remember one time I did I looped a Thai slasher film. I dubbed a Thai slasher film. And like this woman pulled out somebody's eyeball and then boiled it in soup and ate it. And it was like, oh my God.
Yep.
Oh.
Well, a scream is appropriate for right there.
There you go.
You know what I
And
mean?
it's heavily featured in that particular production. So
you've gotten to work with a lot of different scary movies and stuff like that. Okay. So
Captivity and the Purge.
Yes, that's
there
one
you
of
go.
our
There
main.
you
We
go.
might as well go ahead and just go
We
ahead and
might
talk
as well.
about. One of the most interesting things, one of the main reasons I kind of wanted to bring you on here is because I heard that you are the main voice for the emergency broadcast system in the Purge. So how did that come about?
A looping session. It was so I don't know, for the audience, if you don't know what looping is, when they shoot films, the principal actors talk and then the background actors don't talk. So all the mouths that you see when they're shooting the film, they're not saying anything. Not out loud. So then they bring in a group of people, a loop group, and we watch the scene and we create the ambient vocal sounds for the scenes and fill them out. That could be, screaming in a crowd for like Crazy Heart. I did Crazy Heart, screaming as the audience in the arena. That could be anytime that you hear a voice that you don't see on screen, it's generally from the loop group.
Okay.
The news report in the background, the police dispatch that you hear, just coming from the police car as the scene is happening in front, things like that. Those are all done by loop group. So this was one of those situations where, because it was a faceless voice, they were like, do you want to give a read? And I did, and they liked it. And so then it went on to be the franchise that it is. And they just kept bringing me back. And then when they did the series, they called me at the second for the pilot of the premiere episode of the second season. And they said, we want to start with you on screen and as an audition, how you got the role.
Okay.
And so they flew me out to New Orleans. By the way, I don't do on-camera stuff. I can't remember lines anymore. So I tried everything I could to kind of get out of this and going, I don't know, you really want to do that. That's not like a good idea. And I went and they were like, can you go read for the casting director? And I did. And she's like, you do yourself really well. And I'm like, well, thank you. That's a really big compliment. But then they kind of wanted this like Lily Tomlin kind of character. Anyway, so it's the opening scene of season 2 of The Purge, and you can see it if you want to on YouTube. It's out there. It's called The Audition, and they flew me out, and we shot all day, and then they flew me home.
Oh, so how that experience was? Does that make you want to do more live action now, more or?
Absolutely not. I am
That's
so
what-
happy behind the mic. I am happy singing behind the mic. I am happy directing and musical directing behind the mic. Yeah, no, I like something where I can see the words and I don't panic anymore.
So we've seen that announcements in probably every movie and also the show. So have you had to re-record it, and has it been different, like in any alterations that you've done it?
They brought me back, I think 4 times. The prequel, it wasn't in that one. But then they would bring me back each time and have me re-record it. And then I think one they just lifted from one of the other movies and used it as is. They tweaked a little bit here and there, timing mostly, not necessarily the words, but timing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like when you were coming up with the voice for that, did like what made you come up with that tone? Like, were you trying to come up with something that would grab people's attention but not scary, more informative type of thing? Because to me, when I hear it, it's like it grabs your attention, but it's not like something scary, but it's like informative, but it's shocking. You know what I mean?
Well, one of the things that that used to kind of be my wheelhouse was the Siri voice, things that really don't have any feeling. I got down to very close to the voice for the Google. I think it was Google.
For Siri?
The Siri Siri was already out there. Somebody else was trying that. And then there was another company, and I got down to top 3 on that. And they brought me in for a 3-hour audition. And the way that they audition for that stuff is they have you read random sentences. And every once in a while, there will be a clone sentence. And then they go back and check and make sure that you said it exactly the same way that you said it the first time. They measure it, they check intonation, they check pitch, they check every pace, all of that. So it was a 3-hour audition, and it wasn't like, I think the offer was to go to San Francisco for 6 months to record another one of these, AI voices. And but we were using humans at that point. And so I did that in a lot of movies. That was kind of my wheelhouse. If they needed somebody who was very just flat and generic and very Siri-like. So that was all I did, was just, I was also a kid when we would hear, "This is the emergency broadcast system." We would hear that as children on TV. And there was one ad that would say, "It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?" That would play on television every night because we didn't have 24-hour programming back then, or cable. We had 3 channels and PBS, basically. So I grew up listening to that, and that's kind of what it was.
Okay. Moving on to our interview.
All right. We're not in the interview yet?
No, well, we've been kind of doing our little bit of talking. Now we're kind of jumping right into our interview. We're going to be going question.
Okay, here we go.
For my first question, I want to ask you, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, is basically, how did you become the voice of Amy Rose in the Sonic series, and how do you feel playing her, and how did that opportunity come about?
I auditioned. My agent sent me a thing. I read it. I sent it back. They said, okay. It's that simple. That's how I got Amy Rose.
Wow. Okay.
I love Amy. She is my favorite character because of where they've allowed her to grow to. I just love her. Sonic Boom was such an amazing experience. We had the writers in the room listening to us. We spent 2 or 3 days, I believe, In the very beginning, they brought us in and just had us improv in character with each other. And the writers watched us. They would write personal things into the show. I had a bulldog, and my bulldog passed away. And so there's an episode called Fuzzy Puppy Buddies, and it's based on Gertie the bulldog, is a little character, and they based her off of Gertie, my dog. They let me write an episode. Give Bees a Chance. I wrote that one with a lot of help from my fabulous writer friends. But that experience and being in the room with that cast every other Tuesday for 4 hours, I don't know that I've ever laughed as much. It was amazing. And of course, you get the brilliant Colleen O'Shaughnessy out of that, who's just soaring with her Cinderella story with Sonic as Tails. And she's so fully deserving. She's so special in that role. But that whole experience was special. And then because Sonic just keeps going on, we're still doing the games here in the States. So that's cool. And the Tails Tube stuff. But they really let her go from being a little to standing on her own 2 feet, which I think girls do these days. And girls want to see their characters do that, to make her a heroine.
Not a damsel.
Not a damsel. Absolutely. So they've really let her take that journey. And I love it.
Well, it makes sense. Earlier, you were kind of talking about you felt like you were kind of in the room with the creators and everything, kind of helping make the show. You basically creating episodes and stuff like that, and they're actually taking your real life and putting it in the show. I can see why you feel so comfortable with the character.
Yeah.
Have she made it to the live action movies yet or anything?
My understanding, although I don't know anything more than anybody else, is that she will be in the next movie. So
okay.
I don't know who's voicing her. All I know is I hope it is the very best person because it's a very special character, and I hope they keep her as a heroine. And if that is the case, I will feel like I got the role. You know what I mean?
Is that something you're going to audition for? No matter like,
it'll probably be celebrity.
Oh, you think so?
Oh yeah. I do. I mean, good Lord, who wouldn't want to voice that in the film?
For sure. Didn't they bring back the Tails voice actor?
They did. Tails is the one that really started to fly because of all of those movies. But again, I don't know a single celebrity that could bring what Colleen O'Shaughnessy brings to that role. I don't. And with the other stuff, it's, I mean, not that everybody else wasn't special or isn't special, because I think they are. And I would always vote, for us making the movie, but I get that they got to make their money.
They want to bring as many people to the fan.
But that means, the movies are about celebrities.
I just feel like
that cash.
I just feel like if you got the original person and they're right there, you might as well just for the similarity. You know what I mean?
Well, then you are the hero our city needs, because
sure.
We all would love that. We all would love that.
But my next question I want to ask you is, what do you find most rewarding and least rewarding about being a voice actor?
Oh, the most rewarding is that you don't have to be yourself. Actors don't get into acting to go be themselves. They get into acting to be somebody else.
For sure.
And so when you get these deep characters, there's one that I loved. There was an anime that I did called Guardian of the Spirits.
Okay.
And I played a character named Balsa. And that's probably my favorite anime I ever did. It's only one season. It's 26 episodes. It's very short, but boy, was she something else. And that one, it was a very emotional game. The Persona series, so emotional games, such emotional games. Great storylines. That's what I find to be the most rewarding is, boy, you can just come in here and let it all out.
For
and
sure.
just let it all out. Uh, the least rewarding, I don't know. I don't want to say anything negative about our business because it's a really great business. I guess the fact that there are times when we have to be comfortable with the fact that somebody thinks they can replace our humanity with a robot.
Yeah.
Um, that's not very rewarding. That takes a session with my therapist to go through. But it is what it is. The only thing constant is change. And so you just kind of have to go, oh well, then that wasn't the role for me anyway.
So kind of jumping in a little bit into that topic.
Okay.
So do you think AI, could it be incorporated in voice acting, or do you think it should never be incorporated in voice acting?
I think it is here. I think it's going to be. So I think we need to learn to work with it.
Okay.
And yes, I do think so. I would love to see, a company developed. This is something that I kind of brainstormed a little bit, that we do sound sets. So at the end of a game, if you're doing a role that has fighting in it or whatever, then they have you do the screams, the punches, the kicks, the jumps, all of these things. It's called a sound set, and it's just reaction noises.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to go into a studio, and I will give you every character in my brain. I will give you that sound set. I will record it one time. And then you can license that from me, and you can manipulate it however you want. That is a way and it saves my voice. I don't have to worry about not being able to talk for the next 3 days, or not being able to give it my all because I have to work for the next 3 days. And I don't, and I need to be able to have a voice. So I think that there are ways to incorporate it that can be very helpful to both parties. They don't have to pay as much with a licensing fee. We don't have to get ripped off and have somebody going and stealing our voices and doing it anyway. So I think there are ways to work with it. It's our turn. It's been happening to musicians for years. Synthesizers. They did an entire musical theater production of Sweeney Todd with 2 synthesizers, which put 26 musicians out of work.
Wow.
So things like that have been happening for a very long time.
I didn't know.
And now, yeah. So, and that's, they take guitar licks. That's why, you go and buy an Apple Loops box, and you can get Lenny Kravitz's guitar licks. He'll record them for you, and then you can put it into your machine and manipulate it in a digital audio workstation, and create something that sounds like Lenny Kravitz, and he also got paid and didn't get ripped off.
Yep. Okay.
So I think there are ways that we can do this. I really do.
See, that's the kind of the mindset that I've been trying to go with a little bit, because I know that a lot of people have been trying to fight against it. They don't want it here, but I'm like, it's already here. So what are ways that we can kind of use it to kind of help with the job?
Yeah.
And my mindset, I always think of like animes like Pokemon, where you have like a lot of those behind the scene Pokemon characters like that. I was like, hey, I probably can do those, do the Poka characters like that. So then you have the humans playing more of the human characters and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to come up with like brainstorming ideas, but I pretty much like the idea that you came up with. That sounds like a good way to kind of incorporate it.
I think that what you just suggested is probably how it may go. But even if you do that, if you do the background characters, and you don't pay the actor that voiced it and that you're basing the voice off of, then those are people that don't get a job. So that's the big argument right there. But again, if you say, all right, we will put it in our generator, but we will put your voice specifically and we'll pay you for that gig, then I think that seems more fair than just get rid of an entire bunch of actors. Yeah. Because there's somebody that does that live.
Yeah. And then I guess you would be kind of creating catering a voice that would sound similar to theirs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like something brand new.
Yeah.
It'll be kind of hard to do that, low key.
Yeah.
All right. Kind of moving on to my next question I want to ask you is, you are on one of my favorite anime. This is a really old anime. I'm not sure if you remember it, but I just had to bring it up because it's something I watch every year around Christmas time because I just find it to be a really good anime to watch
Okay.
around that time. It's called Forest of Pianos.
I don't remember this.
Oh, it's a
What?
great show. It's about a music prodigy. His name is Kai. He's a bandit kid that lives in the forest, and he basically is this music prodigy, and then he goes into this music competition towards the end of the show, and it's a Chopin competition and everything. You play a character. I think it said you were in 10 episodes. So
It's ringing a bell. Who do I play? Do you know?
then I can't say the name of the character. It starts with an N, Nomura. I think that's what it says.
Nomura?
Yeah.
Nomura?
N-O, give me 1 second.
Okay. Huh. I'm gonna have to go look. Have to go listen to that or watch that.
Oh, you definitely gotta check it out.
Yeah.
It's an amazing show.
Okay.
I'm gonna just spell it out. It's
Okay.
Nomura.
No Nomura.
Yes.
No Nomura. All right.
And he plays 7 to 8 episodes. I think if I'm remembering correct, and that's one of the girls that stay in the I think it's a cat house. Is that where I think that's what they call them? It's a cat house because that's normally where he stays in.
Okay.
That's where his mom is a prostitute, and that was basically her main job and stuff. And that's his main thing was trying to kind of get out of that situation.
Cat house. I haven't heard that term in a long time.
That's the only thing I could think of at the moment.
Oh.
Get the point across. You know exactly what I meant.
Oh, I've played so many hookers. I have a funny story. So I went in and there was I was batting cleanup on an anime. I'm not even sure what it was. And it's this director writer who we have kind of a combative relationship in a good way, but we just banter a lot. And so anyway, I go in and I'm flipping through the script and they're like, loop number 720 or whatever. So I go to loop 720 and I'm like, Hooker 99? Hooker 99? I don't even make top 10. It was a typo. It was supposed to be Hooker 9, but he left it when he saw it just to give me a hard time. So yeah, no, I've played a lot of cat house residents.
That's funny to the point where it's like, it's just a hooker. We don't need to put a name on her. She's Hooker 1, Hooker 2.
Yeah, Hooker 99.
That is hilarious. Moving on to my next question I want to ask you is,
okay,
what emotion do you find hard to portray with just your voice?
Great question. Sometimes, sorry for the long delay. I really had to think about that. Because I direct, it's really the only thing that we have are our voices. We don't have the rest of the communication skills. We don't have, the faces, and we don't have the expressions, and we only have intonation and emotion and depth. I find it easiest to go into the deeply emotional, sad ranges. I think that's easier to portray than perhaps just real conversational sometimes. There are some people that they're just brilliant at it. But as a stage actress, I was taught project, enunciate, things like that. And it has been a real learning curve to just be kind of casual and off the cuff. So just content I think content is the hardest one for me because it's not extreme. It's not over the top happy. It's not over the top sad. It's not, tearful. That you can add you can add sounds to go along with that. But just to kind of be, you know,
So more of them
content.
calm type of situations or
Yeah, because
emotions.
a lot of times it's you got to keep the energy underneath it too, because
Mhm.
when you're just doing stuff like that, it can just get lazy, or you can drop off at the end, and you lose your support vocally if you're talking about technique. So sometimes that it just can come across as no energy behind it.
I can see what you mean.
And otherwise, when they're like, "Can you up the energy?" And then you're like, "Yeah, I can up the energy." And they're like, "Okay, whoa,
That's too much for me.
find that spot. Find your sweet spot right there." Um, because it does. And especially when you're in a long session, you get to end of hour 4. Actually, hour 3 is interesting with all actors that I've worked with. That's the one where they start to their eyes start to cross and they get tired. And then at hour 4, it's like, okay, we're almost out of here. And it's adrenalizing to get you through that. But you get into that, and if it's just kind of flat, informational, conversational, but still interesting and natural, that's where I find that I start to just kind of struggle a little bit.
Okay, okay, that's interesting. I think that's the first time we've ever had that be their example because a lot of times we hear like maybe like crying or laughter. I've heard that one be a hard emotion for people to portray and stuff like that. So kind of I can understand that being from a theater background and being more told to project your emotions every time you probably are on a stage. You might not be given a mic because this is just something I've heard from someone prior. Like every time that they were on the stage, they always had to project their
Yeah.
voice to make sure people could hear them, type of thing.
The phrase that we always heard was reach the back row. Get to the back row, make sure they can hear you.
So kind of coming into a situation where you got to be more calm. I know that's probably hard.
Yeah. Yeah, calm and natural. You'd be surprised at how difficult that is. Yeah. No, I can cry on a dime. And the thing I love about laughter is, first of all, it's contagious.
True.
It's contagious. So you start to laugh, and especially if you're with a group of people, because we did a lot of laughing in loop groups, and you start to giggle, and then they start to giggle, and then you start to giggle, and it all becomes just this fun, giggle box moment. My mom used to call it your giggle box just got turned over. So that one, I don't have a problem with extremes. I just have a problem with just being and not trying to perform.
Well, my next question I want to ask you is, what do you consider your best vocal performance? And what do you consider your worst, or you just don't, if you could redo it, you would do it. You would redo it.
Okay. I will tell you that I'm going to start backwards, because the one that I've always regretted, because I feel like now I would be so much better at it, is Paprika. I dubbed Paprika and as Paprika. And it's a genius film if you haven't seen it. And I just feel like I could have been better. I feel like I didn't really know what I was doing yet. So that one I would redo. It's not my worst performance at all.
Okay.
My worst performance would be my very first one, Great Teacher Onizuka. It's stiff and wooden, and oh my Buddha. I would love to redo that too, but that's by far what I consider my worst performance. My best performance, I don't know. I mean, The Purge is up there. And Balsa in Guardian of the Spirit I think was a really solid performance. I'm really proud of.
Oh, okay. I'm actually surprised you didn't pick Amy or like any of your class. Like,
I mean, Amy's she's already the star of my show.
I feel
There were some cartoons that I did. I did a little character called Maddie Hatter in Ever After High from Mattel for a long time, and I was really proud of Maddie. She was interesting, and I made her quirky, and it was a really, I feel it was one of my most creative performances. So I really loved that one too.
That's interesting because that might go ahead and answer my next question a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway.
All right.
If you could revoice any one of your characters that's either gone or you haven't been able to redo because the show has been over, if you could bring them back, who would it be?
Balsa. Also, yeah, definitely. I wish they would write more for her. It was she was just strong and calm and very zen. And she was so integrous and was tasked with taking this child, through very dangerous areas and returning him. And it was a really emotional show. And I felt like she stayed true from start to finish. So I loved her. I would love to bring her back.
Okay. That's interesting. I definitely got to check that show out so I can get more of an understanding of the character, so I could be like, you know what, she was right about that.
Yeah, I think you would really like it. I'm looking up what the Japanese name was. Guardian of Spirit. You can go ahead and ask.
Oh,
the next question.
We're winding down.
Moribito.
Moribito. Okay.
Moribito. Moribito. Wow. Just loved that show. Okay.
Well, we're winding down to our last 3 questions. I want to ask you for my next question. I want to ask you is, if you could shout out anyone that has been a good support system for you over the years, who would you want to shout out, and how has having a good support system helped you over the years?
Oh, wow. Well, Christopher Smith, my husband, for sure. Karen Strassman has been a big one. She has helped a lot. Jack Fletcher, he is the director for Sonic. And he is not only was a terrific director as from an actor's standpoint, but he is also who I have patterned my directing after. Okay. I just think he's spectacular. He knows what he's talking about. He knows his history. He knows the art, and he knows how to pull out an emotional performance. And I just think he's great.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, without a good support system, I mean, first of all, you got to learn. Sure. You got to learn for people. And
then it's such a cutthroat business,
Yeah. I mean, but there's enough work for everybody if we just are calm about it, That's the thing. Just come from self and just be calm. And if you don't get this one, there might be a reason why you didn't get this one. As a director, I hear so many great auditions, and you can't cast everybody. And it's not that you aren't good if you don't get the role. It's that casting is like making a cake, and cayenne pepper does not belong in a cake.
True.
Generally, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're cayenne pepper is terrific in gumbo, but we're not stirring up some gumbo right here. We're making a cake. So it has to fit with all the other ingredients. It has nothing to do with whether or not you're a good ingredient. You're terrific. It's just not the right project, which is how you get through, you just audition, you just get behind the mic, read, do your best work in the audition room or in your audition booth, like I am, and then forget about it. It's not personal. But a good support system will remind you of that on those days when you have been cayenne pepper and every show is a cake,
Yeah. You're just sitting there like, man, like it can't be cayenne pepper everything, you know what I mean?
No. But your turn will come. Come. Yeah.
So for my next question, before my final one, this is a question I've been wanting to ask more of you, of the older generation of voice acting. How do you feel about the new generation of voice actors that's coming in? Do you feel like they still possess the same passion and talent that you older generation have? Or do you feel like they're taking the industry and moving it further type of thing?
Oh, I think both. I I think there are people that are still incredibly passionate about this.
Mhm.
In the new generation, we've got some terrific actors out there. I think it's interesting that we are opening it up to non-binary, to
Mhm.
different people, to different sounds. I love all of that. I love their fresh perspective on things. Um, I mean, when you've been doing it a long time, sometimes you can get into a rut with how you read things, and they bring a just a different take. And nobody's better or worse, um, but they're just new. They're just new. And I think that some of them are very passionate, some of them are just want money. So, I mean, it's just like the old guard. We're all just people.
The funny thing about that is that I just recently did an interview, I think with Peep Sapanuk, if I'm remembering.
Okay.
He's the main voice for the Nine Tails and Naruto. That's the big thing I can remember him for. He's a older gentleman, and the passion and the fact that he's like, I'm not done yet. Like, I'm still
Yeah,
trying to go out here and still get my main roles and stuff like that.
yeah,
Really showed me that this is an industry where your voice can literally, long as you have a voice,
yeah.
you have a job. Like, you can
Well, you
keep
have a job
going.
opportunity. Now,
Yes.
the one thing that I will say about the older generation is that we find less and less roles for us,
Yeah.
because
Get
most of
older.
yeah, you're getting older, and there's one, there's one Gandalf,
Yeah.
and there are 4 hobbits,
True.
right?
True.
So there are more roles for younger sounding voices.
True.
Another reason why I kind of turned to directing. It but now we're seeing, even in live television, we've got Steve Martin and Martin Short and Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin and all of these icons
Oh,
still frickin' working,
mm-hmm.
right? Not only that, but they're carrying movies and television shows.
Yeah, I
And
forgot the name of the Netflix show they had. That was amazing. Oh
which
man.
one? Grace and Frankie?
Yes, when the
Yes.
two husbands were gay, and yes,
Yeah.
oh, that was a great show.
I loved it. They've done several movies together since then too. So yeah,
Mm,
just go Google it. It's you can find it. But there are fewer roles for older sounding voices. Um, but maybe we're finding that because technology is now so rampant in everybody's household, maybe there will be a market for a game that is mostly, let's reverse it.
older
Let's do it
characters.
with older, the most of the cast being older, and the kids coming in and giving advice,
True.
or something like that. Maybe set it on its ear, be creative about it, you
It's
know?
funny you say that because there's just like two new TV shows they've just kind of put out recently. Mainly one that I can kind of think back on where they got an older main cast, where I think the main character is like 30 years old and stuff like that. And I always tell people like that's good for me because it just gives me the perspective that our dreams aren't over yet. You know what I
Oh, they're
mean?
not.
A lot of people feel like that 15 to 21, that's the only time you can shoot. No, I mean you
No.
shoot as long as you can breathe.
There's a TV show with Ted Danson, for Pete's sake, called Man on the Inside, and everybody in that show, with the exception of, his daughter and the gal he works for or whatever, but everybody is one of the old guard. Sally Struthers is in it, and they brought Mary Steenburgen in, and I mean she's married to Ted Danson, but he's almost 80, if he isn't 80 already. So it's still happen. We got a chance at all of this as long as everybody will go. They've got something to give. This is a culture that I think a lot of times just kind of revolves around youth culture.
Mhm.
But in other countries, in tribes in Africa, things like that, they have elders, and they're very important,
For sure.
and people listen to them, and I think that it would be cool if that kind of started seeping in over here, and I think it is. Thanks to television, I think it is.
For sure. I wish we do have more of that respect in here and just in America itself.
Yeah, yeah.
But for my last question, I want to ask you is, what are your remaining goals or aspirations in the field of voice acting? What are you still trying to accomplish?
Oh, I am. My mom died a couple of years ago, and I realized I'm like, well, I'm in Act 3. So, what do you want to spend the next, chunk of your life doing? And so I started writing. I am doing. Chris and I are doing a fictional podcast, a fictional
Oh,
comedy
okay.
podcast. So we're recording that right now. I am writing an audio cine musical that is basically, I want it to be a movie for your ears, but it's a musical, but it's like seeing it's like seeing sound.
Okay, so it's something you would like put your headphones
But
on, take
oh yeah,
close your eyes.
totally immersive
Um,
experience, but singing, because I've music is, my first love, my first passion. And then I found a bunch of old songs that I wrote, and I found an arranger, and we are currently in the process of recording my first solo original EP. So
wow,
yeah,
okay.
these are my goals.
You're
Is
knocking
to
out a few things out there. Okay.
I want my passion to take the lead, not have to, just rush after job after job after job, but do what I want to do, and that really represents who I am.
That's how you know you've been living your life great. Because if when you're able to get to that point in that third act to be able to do the things that you want to do and not kind of forced to have to keep working just to live type
Yeah,
of thing, I feel like that's amazing.
yeah.
And that brings us to the end of our interview. Is there anything else you want to discuss or talk about before we wrap it up?
No, you were terrific. Thank you so much.
For sure, for
Thank
sure.
you for inviting me. You're a great host, and I had a great time.
Well, I'm glad you came down to talk. I feel like I'm talking to a legend, and
Oh,
I'm glad that I was able to talk to you without stuttering as much as I thought I was going to. And it's been a pleasure to talk to you.
no, you're great. Thank you.
And with that, we end today's episode. I want to thank my guests for coming on and chatting it up with me. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you listeners did too, and learned more about the industry of voice acting. And before we close out, I just want to allow my guests the opportunity basically to plug yourself, tell everybody where they can find you, or and if you have anything coming up recently that you want to let us know about, like cons or anything.
Oh, great. We're going to be in Wales um, for all of March into a little bit of April, doing some card shows there, doing a couple of cons. They're the Cardiff Con. You can go to CindyRobinsonOfficial.com. That is my website.
Okay.
You can find me on Instagram at Cindy Robinson Official or Redhead Said Prod, as in productions. I've got 2 accounts there. Same thing for X. Same thing for Facebook. Redhead Said Production or Redhead Said Prod. So just come and join me, and I'm gonna start being a little bit more active out
Okay.
there. I was kind of staying away from any negativity, and there seems to be a little bit of that going on, but about to be a little bit more active because we're going to San Japan this year.
Okay.
Um, and I think that's all I can announce because that's all I have contracts for.
Oh, okay.
So there are some other things that are coming up, but I will let you know. And then and follow us when we launch Cafe Noir, and when I launch Making Up Marge, and then
Is
the
that the
EP.
EP? Oh,
The EP is called A New Beginning.
okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and it's
Well, I'll have
6 tunes that I wrote.
I'll have all her links and stuff below. So if you guys want to check out any of that stuff, or you want to just message her about the podcast, or if you want to message me and ask me why I didn't ask her about something that's in her IMDb, I understand. It was so much we could have talked about, but we only had an hour to do this. So with that, I just want to say
Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in.